Welcome to the Zadzooks Happy Hour, a podcast providing commentary on the latest in film, TV, games, and comics. My name is Todd Stoll, and I'm joined by 25-year veteran reporter covering pop culture, video games, and technology for the Washington Times, Joseph Zadkowski. Okay, so your character punches people, right?
I have a Titan.
You have a Titan, and I have a
blue-skinned, awoken humanoid.
And I have a hunter.
And we're once again coming into this offering people no perspective on what we're talking about.
We are talking about Destiny 2, and this is our second part. Last week was part one, where we unboxed the collector's edition and awed at all of the really cool stuff that was included.
We may have a part 3 because I've still yet to do anything multiplayer other than a public event.
Yeah, a couple public events.
I've done no raids. I've not visited the Crucible to fight anybody.
So let's talk a little bit about what the premise of this thing is, which is there is a species, I don't know, what are they called?
It's the Cabal Empire.
Yes, okay. So the Cabal Empire comes to Earth and it essentially takes over the Traveler.
And the last city. And it decimates the last city.
Right. And the Traveler is sort of this moon-like sphere that hovers over the last city.
And provides a power called the Light to the Guardians.
Correct. And the Guardians are essentially the protectors.
Like the last hope of mankind. Or maybe the galaxy. I don't know.
Right.
Mankind for sure.
And they also provide some level of support for these robotic things called ghosts.
Right.
Which are these little...
They're drone-like assistants.
But there's a living person inside.
Is there?
I think that's why they call it a ghost. I think it's like a ghost.
Is that Peter Dinklage?
It could be.
Now, you may not remember this, but that's who did the voice for the first Destiny.
Okay. Now, do you know which famous person's voice was in the second Destiny?
I don't.
Lance Riddick. Did that name ring a bell?
The John Wick. Wayland...
John Wick.
Wait a minute.
He's the guy at the front desk.
Really?
Yes.
And what does he play?
He is sort of like the leader who is trying to get everyone to evacuate and fight, when the city is under attack.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Okay.
And he eventually, I don't think they really explain what happens to him, do they?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm still dealing on the farm with Hawthorne, the female Hawthorne, who has that awesome satchel.
Yes.
That looks so familiar.
Yeah, it does look familiar, doesn't it?
Yes.
So I'm about, I want to say, 6 hours into the game, and I'm not that far into it. I'm what, level 5?
Yes.
I'm about to hit level 6, and I think I have like 46 power or whatever I guess it's called. But my guy's starting to look pretty cool. The weapons are starting to get more powerful. My supercharge...
your superpower?
Your superpower. My guy he has a katana, or no, not katana. He's got a...
staff.
A staff that he turns into like a big electric lightning bolt and smacks people with a staff, and they immediately blow up and die.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm about 12 hours in. I'm at level 13, and I'm about 120 on the power scale. And I've also unlocked a subclass. So what that means is you can set certain powers by getting experience points. You've gotten experience points, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there'll be one set of powers for one class, and then there's a whole new set of powers for another class.
That's cool.
It's cool, but it's annoying because the class that I worked so hard to upgrade is cool because my Titan now is like a gladiator-size shield.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Not a Captain America size, but I can throw it around and it bounces off enemies.
That's awesome.
And when I unlocked the new subclass, it basically gave me a more of a Thor Hulk power where I can do smashes on the ground, but I think that was from the old game. But I haven't invested heavily in that yet because I like the other one because it's brand new. And it's got stuff like sticky grenades, and it's got grenades that'll set out waves, shock waves of plasma. And it's got a shield that you can place anywhere on the battlefield, stand behind it, and shoot over it.
That's cool.
For a certain amount of time.
So, do you have any sniping capabilities?
Other than finding a sniper rifle,
Mm-hmm.
which I can use it at my will.
Right.
Which I did on one that was very, very helpful.
I've noticed that because my character is a hunter, I have noticed that if I crouch into a sniping position and shoot an enemy in the head,
So you can crouch.
I can crouch.
Can you lie flat or just
It's you're down. I would
Right.
say you're probably more of like a squatting position.
Okay.
But hit him in the head, and it's 1 to 2 shots max.
Right.
Hit him in the torso, and it's probably 4 or 5. So there's a little bit more precision. My character has regular grenades. It has sort of these electric sticky pulse grenades.
Right.
It's a lot of it's primarily like semi-automatic or fully automatic weaponry. There's it's almost like an alien pulse rifle, which unfortunately I can't hold a lot of ammunition on it.
Yeah.
It holds like 6 rounds,
Right.
But shoot one and you're going to do a substantial amount of damage.
Right.
My guy's pretty fast, so I can, if I'm in the middle of something, I can get back and turn around. But I will say, as a hunter, I don't think he has a lot of cool things like a shield. You know, he's pretty exposed. It's just a random guy.
I can walk around and at will, any like the fallen, I can punch them and they're done.
Yeah.
One punch.
I stab people. I just go around and like stab them with a knife.
Well, that's cool.
So, I mean, I'm probably at a pretty substantial disadvantage. I've definitely died a fair amount of times.
But there should be some advantage to being a hunter, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I think you have like I've been able to escape a pretty big melee and be able to continue the mission without having to go through it because he can run really fast.
Okay.
I will say the part of the game that really sucked was when you lost your power, when you lost the light. Between the time where you lose it and the time where you get it back, we won't say how you get it back, but you get it back. That really sucked.
Oh, yeah, because I was so happy because I looked at my blue-skinned fellow and he was fully armored and he was rocking.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
he's slow. He looks like
the armor's broken, scuffed, gone.
Yeah. It was brutal.
That's why I probably put more hours into it because I was so annoyed that I lost everything.
But the good news is you get it back, and then
you visit.
But you visit the chart of the traveler
in the European Dead Zone.
Yes,
which is really kind of neat. Forest, bombed out towns and tunnels.
A lot of tunnels.
Saturn's moon of Titan, which is basically a group of like rigging platforms in a rolling ocean, which is kind of nice.
Yep.
Jupiter moon, Io, which I've not been there yet, and then there's some minor planet named Nessus. It's loaded with caverns and canyons and cliffs. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of really big worlds.
So the thing is that the way that they've explained it is that the traveler hasn't really done anything. He's sort of been dormant.
Right.
But then you go to the chart of the traveler and you get the light back.
Well, that's the dark forest.
So I have to believe that the traveler is hiding in the dark forest.
Right.
But it's very cool, and there's a lot of industrial areas that you're in. Everything is pretty bombed out, regardless of where you go.
Right.
There's roads that are destroyed or they're covered with water. You're kind of running through vegetation. The area where you're without your power, where you're really slow and your ghost is sort of like almost like having an electrical malfunction.
Right.
That's pretty cool as well.
There's tons of good stuff. And the reason I've been really pushing it is I found out that you have to get to level 20 before you get your hover bike, which in the last game was just cool.
Yeah.
It was like
but you got that right. Well,
speeder bike in Star Wars.
Now I forget.
You got it pretty fast in the last one.
But remember we had that sort of jump to the head to get to like level 42.
Right.
So I don't know if it was because we were there. Like if we had played it from scratch.
If we played it from scratch, you get it pretty early.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And the other one is there's a cool weapon supposedly that you can't unlock until level 20 that came with the download of the collector's editions and certain special editions.
Yeah, you definitely start with nothing.
Yeah,
in this game,
it's some work,
except for the look of your character.
So have you run into the Hive yet? Those are the guys that basically, there's an army of the undead called the Thrawn, and they come charging at you at like 10, 15 a time.
Yes.
Those are brutal.
And
there's acolytes, which are guys, and there's knights, and then there's these floating warlocks or witches.
Yes.
Brutal.
Well, and those are the ones that are shielded, right? The witches?
Yes.
They are
They're
difficult.
so hard.
They're so hard. I am like shooting them in the head, and it just bounces off.
So what I had to do was let my sticky grenade work, jump in the air, throw the grenade at their shield. It blows up their shield, and then I got to snipe them in the head. That's how you take care of them. All at one time.
I just wait until I'm supercharged, and then I take my staff and then whack them 4 times, and they're down. But what I found was when you had like the 10 or 15 charging at you all at once,
right?
Most of my time was shooting while running backwards.
That's correct. That's right.
I feel like at some point you're just going to leave the world because you're going backwards.
Well, you're going to fall off
something. I mean,
the punch helps. Let me tell you, when those guys are coming at me, it's a lot easier to just keep punching.
See, I don't have that. I don't have that.
That's pretty cool.
But I will say the graphics are just as great, if not better, than Destiny 1.
It's very familiar to play, right?
Absolutely.
And it's very intuitive. Right? I mean,
yeah.
I had an observer literally sit down, grab the controls, and go, "Oh, it's Halo," because the controls were supposedly exactly mimicked like playing Halo, but it's simple. How to trigger and
double jumps are really nice.
The double jumps are really nice.
I've actually found that double jumps work really well if you are trying to avoid being seen, especially if you can jump between buildings.
Sure.
That's really nice.
Yep.
The interaction you have with some of the other characters, the story is playing out really well. Like
it's better than the last one.
You're essentially, the planet's been evacuated for the most part. And you're like a little part of a resistance.
You're basically a resistance to take your planet back. Right.
And there's not very many of you.
That's right.
There's people who had the light and they don't have it anymore. You're like the only one who has it. And so it's kind of up to you to defeat these guys. But boy, is it going to take a long time.
Yeah, you're going to be there a while to get to level 15, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's
so.
Okay.
But you should at least get a hover bike. You should really work to get 20.
I'll work to get the hover bike, and then,
So, any complaints yet?
Sometimes I get a little bored with how long it takes to load between areas, but that's pretty common anyway.
Right.
I also haven't tried multiplayer. I did run into
the public events are still really cool.
There was a melee that I was in that I walked into. It was a part of my mission, and all of a sudden
I always do that too.
I see some of these people just running,
yeah,
and I'm like, what is this? And I walk over, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, and then event begins, and I'm like, well, all right, let's get into this.
Now this year they've got something called heroic public events, where you literally have to complete a set of objectives during that frantic chaos to get better loot. So you need to go online and look up heroic public events to find out what you have to do, because there's one mission where there's crawlers. They drop. I don't know if you've been on that one yet. It's like 2 big crawlers that ground, and then you got to do something specific.
The one that I hit, there was a drill that was trying to drill into the planet.
Yes, saw that one too.
And it's all this red explosive light coming down.
Is that the one where it kept moving every 2 minutes?
It was.
So you had to run to a new spot and then run to a new spot?
It was brutal.
Right.
It was brutal. And then eventually...
They're not easy.
I was supercharged and went and whacked this thing that I guess knocked the drill loose.
Right.
And then all the people around me just were mowing everyone down while I was standing around trying to figure out who to shoot, because all of the enemies were way stronger than I was. I just happened to walk into it.
Right.
But because I supercharged, I at least had about 5 seconds of helping out, and then got to participate in the loot, which was nice.
That's cool.
And the loot was nice. It was good stuff. I was pretty pleased with it. So
my only beefs right now are I'm so focused on powering up and getting to another level that I'm not feeling or experiencing how great of the environments there are. There's so much cool stuff going on that instead of me taking a time to smell the roses, I'm just like plowing through because I really want to get to level 20.
Right.
Because everything starts happening at level 20.
I guess the one thing that I've seen, I don't even know if it's a glitch, is like occasionally I'm not really sure where to go for my objective. Like my compass.
But this time there is a map. You notice now you can actually open up
Yeah.
a better map to know where at least the big objectives are.
But there are times when there's no dots, there's no nothing, and it's
Right.
like, and I'm just like, I guess I just keep walking, and I'll eventually walk into something. It does seem, I'd love just a little bit more assistance to make sure I'm going the right way, because I spent 30 minutes going the wrong way at one point, and I had no idea.
It's worse if you spend 30 minutes going the wrong way and then walk into a firefight you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
The other thing, I'd like to personally thank Comcast again for their crappy service. A couple nights ago, I was right in the middle of a session, spent roughly an hour trying to beat this adventure, this mini sub-adventure, got to the final boss area, and my internet crapped out. And I lost everything and had to start all over in that adventure. So thank you so much again. You know, high dollar, low service. I always love that.
Mm-hmm.
And with that,
so we'll continue this. I think, we'll spread it out, not as in depth in the
Right.
third part, but so far so good.
we may actually try and get on screen together at some point.
Yeah, we'll try it. I tried last night. You were on.
Was I?
Yeah, I was like trying to ping you to join, but
Oh, sorry. I was really focused.
yeah. I always find that really funny. I was really focused on my video game, man. Like I was just into it.
That's how cool this game
It
is.
is. It is.
Okay? I mean, it really is.
It's really fun. And then after a while, you're like, I really need to go to bed.
Yeah, which I obviously didn't figure out, so that's fine.
Okay. So we're going to come
Destiny
back.
2.
We're going to come back. You're going to talk about a movie that only you've seen. Did
Right, no one else has seen it. Just me.
you gave me some advice ahead of time.
Some stuff.
But we're going to like tease you. We're not going to tell you what it is so that you're forced to come back and listen. And then after that, I'm going to talk about another Xbox One game that just came out. So stick right back.
Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
And now, another installment of a movie that didn't need to be remade.
So once again, we're going to talk about
Another movie that didn't need to be remade.
called The Mummy. A film that Tom Cruise seems to love. Nobody else does.
I like the Brendan Fraser versions.
I thought the Brendan Fraser version was great. So here's the genesis behind this film. Universal feels at a loss because all the other Hollywood studios, the big ones, have these great superhero franchises going. Big ones. Lots of money coming in. And so Universal's like, what do we have that none of those other studios have? Monsters. We have the monsters. So we're going to create a universe called the Black Universe of Monsters.
That was the Dark Universe.
I'm sorry, you're right. The Dark Universe of Monsters. And
Because aren't they doing Frankenstein?
they're doing The Bride of Frankenstein.
Okay.
So this is the kickoff to that. And
Well, it was a lackluster kickoff.
it was a lackluster, but surprisingly, it made budget and the market. It took in like $405 million worldwide.
But you know what? Overseas, people adore Tom Cruise, and they will see whatever he is in.
So Tom Cruise is not the Mummy. He is more of a wisecracking sergeant who, with
And that did
Jake
it.
Johnson.
But that ends it for me right there, because Tom Cruise and wisecracking, they don't go together.
They don't go together.
No, they don't.
When he's in the middle of a fight, it's great. I mean, he's on a plane in this zero-G environment as the plane's crashing. It's great. It's like Mission Impossible. So that's pretty cool. The zombie is this female high princess of some ancient Egyptian dynasty.
Wait a minute. We're not talking about Suicide Squad, are we? Because that's sounding a little similar.
I don't know, but here's where it goes off the rails. The archaeologist that Tom's working with is part of an organization called Prigium, Prodigium, and it's led by Dr. Henry Jekyll. And who do you think plays Henry Jekyll?
Jared Leto.
Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Russell Crowe, who, when you listen to him talk in a surround sound Dolby Atmos environment is pretty amazing. Because he talks real low and the whole floor rumbles as he talks.
So he's going to be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
He is Mr. Hyde. He is constantly shooting himself up with some weird drug to keep his Mr. Hyde under control.
Uh-huh.
So you can see where it's going from there. And there's, plagues of zombies and crows and rats and you name it. Bats, I think, too. It's not a terrible movie, but it's just who cares? You know what I mean? If I'm going to watch the Mummy movie, I've always been fascinated with the Brendan Fraser ones. I thought those were really well done, especially the first one.
They're pretty high action,
Boris
too.
Karloff was great in The Mummy. Christopher Lee was fantastic in his interpretation of the Mummy back in the 50s. Weird thing, the 4K UHD just doesn't look very good in this. It's might be plagued because a lot of the times there's murk and grain and there's dust, sand, and cadaver remnants floating around, so it's really hard to see what's going on screen. Darkness is obviously happening multiple times, so you're seeing some really cool fight scenes in the dark that don't look so good. The extras won't tell you that it's not a very good film because everyone spends their time with the extras patting each other on the back. There's an optional commentary track that's actually pretty good because there's a director and three of the actors are talking, and they're talking over each other the whole time, and they've never seen the film before, and they don't get to hear the audio. They're just watching the film with the director, and they just keep saying how great it looks. Wow, that looks great. Well, I can't believe how great that looks. Boy, that really looks great. Boy, that's great. Wow, that's neat. Oh, you did a really good job there. That's really great. So that's kind of funny. And then there's this gigantic homage almost in every featurette to Tom Cruise and how great he is. So
he's a Theta 7, right?
If you're a fan of Tom Cruise, you'll probably want to see the movie just because to see how great he is. I wasn't that impressed.
You know what? He's great at Mission Impossible. He really is. He could do that until he's 70 years old.
That's right.
And I could care less.
Now, the movie that could have started their dark universe was done in the 90s, I think. And that was called Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, which was also heavily panned. Now, that film had Hugh fighting Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and there were some wolfmen running around.
This feels like the Justice League, but with monsters.
That's right. It's
Great.
like the Monster Squad.
So
anyway.
So yeah, another movie studio that's going to hash together all these characters and do a piss poor job of it.
Yep. So I'll give it a C+ because I really enjoyed the commentary track.
Except for Wonder Woman.
Oh, that film's great.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll discuss that next week.
Okay. All right. So we'll take a few. Come back. I will talk about NASCAR Heat 2 for Xbox One.
Great.
The box office, and we'll wrap.
Thank
you. Communities Digital News, built by the writers and editors that deliver the news 24 hours a day. Visit comdiginews.com. That's COMMDIGI news.com. And support the next evolution in news.
So, gentlemen, start your engines. We're back already. Sorry.
I'm just looking at the headline, Colbert takes shots at Trump at the Emmys opening monologue, which let me just say, could care less about
the
anymore.
Emmys.
The Emmys.
Yeah.
I've completely lost hope.
I'm done with award shows altogether.
Yeah, period.
Although, if Stranger Things doesn't win outright, then
never again.
And you know what? Better Call Saul needs to win something.
Absolutely. I cannot take Veep winning again.
No.
Now, I love Veep.
But they're going to do it.
They're hysterical.
They're going to do it this year.
But
and
they're going to do it again.
It's the last year. They'll be in it next year as well. And what a joke. Well, you know what? We just totally gave the Emmys coverage, and we didn't.
I'm
and
sorry.
We said we didn't care.
I promised I wasn't going to do that.
So I'm going to talk about NASCAR Heat 2 for Xbox One.
Okay. I'll preface this by saying I despise driving games.
Well,
go ahead.
And I tried it. So it's created by this company called 704 Games, which released an iOS version earlier this year called NASCAR Heat. This version is a little bit different than some of the other driving NASCAR-style games in that if you do career mode, you start from the very bottom. And so there are 3 series, and the top series is, I guess, the Monster Energy Cup series.
So it's based on reality.
Based on reality. The secondary series, which is a AAA series, is called the Xfinity series. And then the third series is called
It's from Comcast?
Yes.
I won't be driving in that series.
And the third series, which is the lowest of the series, is the Camping World Truck series. And so you start out as a guy who is looking for an opportunity to drive. And you audition with a few teams in your first year. You do not drive consistently. So your first year, you maybe drive 5 times. And then at the end of that, you are offered a contract to drive full-time for a team. And if you drive well in your audition period, you have multiple offers. You can choose to drive an existing car, or you can choose to have the team add another car for you, and you can design that car. And so while you are driving in this very low truck series, you are being given opportunities to prove yourself in the AAA series.
Right. Do they have power-ups? They shoot like flames or fireballs?
No, not really.
Not kart racing, I guess.
I tried the multiplayer against other people. It claims you can race against up to 40 people.
Whoa. Really?
Which
that's pretty impressive.
They haven't done before that I can tell, but I had a hard time finding an actual room where they were interested in doing that. I did race in one and found some idiot driving the wrong way. I mean, it was...
Of course, because everyone loves playing online.
It wasn't terribly impressive. I'm very confused. You generate money. You actually get winnings if you perform well, but I have no idea what you do with the money, other than the fact that the cars tend to drive terribly, and there must be a way to upgrade the cars. That's the complaint that a lot of people have been posting online is like, what the hell do you do with the cars? Like, right. you've got this experience and you've got a boatload of cash.
Who's the game maker?
704 Games. Okay. It's on the Unity engine, which I think these days a lot of them are.
Right.
Gameplay is pretty smooth. You get these little vignettes at the end. If you hit somebody, you take them out. After the race is over, there'll be a video of the person yelling at you. It's a real life driver telling you, "I'm coming for you," that kind of thing. That's kind of interesting. Or if you win, people will congratulate you. If you're into it, it's fun. I mean, it's a good... I think I've maybe put a couple hours into it and raced enough, I think, to know whether or not it's decent. It's probably one of the better ones. EA Sports used to do them, and they were pretty crappy
right.
At the time.
Yeah, I remember those.
And they were really pretty terrible. This is because there was a computer game that was actually of the same name that kind of did the same thing. This seems to have reimagined it. The cars look pretty good. You can drive as anybody, and as I said, you can create your own cars and race against it. But there doesn't really seem to be the leveling up. There's not a lot of damage.
Is it a high-priced game?
Nah, it was like $39.99, something like that.
It's new. It wasn't
new.
a $59 like Destiny 2's $59.
No, it just came out. There's not a lot of damage. I have tried wrecking, and there's no caution flags. It must just be my settings, but it's definitely set up to just kind of go.
Okay.
So it's not bad. I would say it's it's no Destiny and it's no Forza 6 and 7, which are beautiful driving games. 7's just coming out in October, by the way.
That's right.
But it's if you're a NASCAR fan, it's all right. Having worked in that industry for a little bit and worked with a driver in the past, it's pretty decent.
You were changing tires on the side?
No, I was doing his website.
Okay.
So. No, I was not changing tires. But, I mean, it's pretty realistic, I would say. The only thing is, as I said, is the cars tend to drive pretty terribly. You cannot...
Really? Can you drift? Do you drift in that sport?
There is a racetrack where you drive on dirt, and that is a royal pain in the rear end, because I have spun out more times than I care to mention. But my issue is that the game has auto braking enabled, and I will plow into a turn... right up into the wall.
Right.
And you still have to lift, even with auto braking on. It's ridiculous.
So I'd really hate this game, is what you're saying.
I just get frustrated with it
Right.
because it's essentially you have to lift and then you have to accelerate, and it's really hard when you are driving really pretty low-level equipment. So I'm assuming you'll get good at some point, but
Right.
it just depends if you want to invest the time in it.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
let's segue over to the box office.
Okay. That's quick. Oh.
So, number one at the box office with an estimated $60 million in week 2 was It.
Right.
Foreign.
Expected.
Yes.
It was expected.
I believe, including foreign, it's at $357 million on a $35 million budget. Was there ever a sequel to It?
No, I don't think so.
So is this a one and done?
It's a one and done.
Do you think
Unless he writes a new book
you think
or a short story.
Do you think they would just go off of and just do another one, like It 2, The Return, or...
Yes. Do we know what happens in the end? I don't know.
I mean, I would hope it follows
They
the
kill
original one,
right.
which is they kill the shapeshifter,
Right.
or spider, or whatever it
He
is.
just gave it away.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it. Who knows? Maybe it lives.
It's already 17th worldwide for 2017. So this
in
will
2 weeks.
This will eat up.
Do you think this could go to number one?
It will pass The Mummy.
Do you
It will not go to number one.
You don't think it'll beat
No
out Wonder
chance.
Woman?
It-
Because Halloween,
Wonder Woman's 800 million.
but they're at 3. Okay, but this in 2 weeks they're at 370 something.
But there's going to be a drop off.
But Halloween's coming. You don't think they're gonna go wide again as it gets closer?
I think it'll end up. It could potentially end up in the top 10 because films like Transformers have no right being there, and The Boss Baby. But we'll see.
Yikes!
So, and it will not catch Beauty and the Beast.
So what's coming out? Obviously,
Wonder Woman is where we're going to focus next week.
Baby Driver, I think, is in another week,
Right.
which I want to get your
I
thoughts
made
on.
my annual pilgrimage to Field of Screams, Pennsylvania. I have a very good interview
Nice.
with one of the brothers. It's their 25th anniversary, and it's definitely worth listening to. So that'll be next week for sure.
Cool. Got anything else? Watching anything good on TV these days?
I am still in Blacklist, season 4, trying to finish up Supergirl.
When is Walking Dead back out?
Watching Ken Burns' Vietnam,
Oh,
reviewing that soon.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It is harsh.
Ken Burns, man, he's the real deal. But boy, sometimes his stuff is really hard to stomach.
In what ways? Tell me.
It's so realistic.
It's realistic, but the thing, and not to go political here, is like I'm watching the first couple episodes fairly neutral. It's not like he's going completely
Right.
one side or the other, and I'm just going, why are we there? What in the hell are we thinking? What? Why? What?
And that's why there were so many protests during that time.
Yeah,
because
I
think
guess so.
everybody else thought the same thing.
Man, and that's as political I'm getting. Thank you.
Thanks,
I'm done.
man.
Sure.
All right.
All right. It's a pretty good episode, I think.
Yeah, not too bad.
Please, somebody listen to it.
You're funny. So yeah, we'll be back next week talking Wonder
Lots
Woman.
of good stuff.
And
Feel the Screams.
Feel the Screams, and this is your
I
time
know
of
we
year,
got
man.
more stuff, man. We're going into the Halloween time.
Yeah, you're excited.
Okay, I'm Todd Stowell.
And I'm Joe Zadkowski.
Take care.